Hello everyone and welcome back once again. This is your science teacher here, and this time we will understand the second chapter of grade 7 science NCERT textbook, that is nutrition in animals. So let's start. Students, as you can see here, this is a session plan of your chapter number 2, and in this chapter we will understand all these topics here. First of all, we will understand its introduction, means what is nutrition. Students, as in your previous chapter, we discussed about the basics of nutrition. If you remembered that we talked about the mode of nutrition, and under mode of nutrition we talked about autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And in your previous chapter we also basically discussed about the autotrophic mode of nutrition that basically occurred in plants by the help of photosynthesis. But now in this chapter we will discuss and focus mainly on heterotrophic mode of nutrition in respect to human beings and animals. Then secondly, we will discuss about the different ways of taking food in animals. Thirdly, we discuss about the process of nutrition in animals, that how to get their nutrition. Next, we will discuss about the digestion process in human beings, how this digestion process going on in human being. Next, we will discuss about digestion in grass-eating animals, and lastly, we will discuss about the feeding and digestion in amoeba. So, let's start. Students, as you know, that animals depend upon other plants and animals for their food, and each species or type of organism has their own way of taking in food. Like bees and hummingbirds suck plant nectars, whereas infants of humans and some animals feed on mother's milk. Likewise, in the same way, snakes such as python consume the animals upon which they prey, and aquatic animals filter small food particles floating close by and feed on them. And students, on the basis of these feeding habits, animals are categorized basically into different categories. The first one is herbivore. Students, herbivores are those heterotrophs that derive their energy directly from plants, like deer, cow, buffalo, goat, sheep, etc. The second category is carnivores. Students, carnivores are those heterotrophs who derive their energy indirectly by eating herbivores like lion, tiger, etc. comes into the category of carnivores. As you can see here, the first one, deer, it comes into the category of herbivores, and the second one is lion, it comes into the category of carnivores. The next category is omnivore. Students, omnivores are those heterotrophs who derive their food from both plants as well as animals, like bear, rat, man. Man means we, the human beings, also comes into this category, means we are also omnivores. As you can see here, it is a picture of bear. It is an omnivore. The next category is decomposers. Students, decomposers are those heterotrophs that obtain their nutrients by breaking down remains of dead plants and animals, means who get their nutrition, their nourishment by dead and decaying organic matters like bacteria and fungi. Students, bacteria and fungi are such type of heterotrophs who obtain their nutrients from dead and decaying organic matter. As you see here, these are the decomposers who get their nourishment from dead and decaying organic matter. Now, moving on towards the next slide. Students, now in this section we will discuss first activity of your chapter number 2, but before going to discuss this activity, I have listed here some important terms related to this activity, and these terms will help you to understand this activity more clearly. So let's start. As you can see here, we are going to discuss about the different mode of feeding in certain animals. So the first mode of feeding is sucking. Students, sucking is that mode of feeding in creatures in which they penetrate the pointed part of their mouth deep into the food item and then sucks the fluid of the food, and that's how they get the nutrition. As you can see here, these four are the examples of sucking mode of feeding in creatures. The pointed part which I talked about are this in case of butterfly, this in case of hummingbird, and this in case of a mosquito, and same in case of lice. Now moving on towards the next mode of feeding. The next mode of feeding is scrapping. Students, scrapping is that mode of feeding in which an organism removes stuck or fixed food material from a ground surface. As you can see here, these ants over here try to remove the fixed food material from the ground surface. The next mode of feeding is chewing. Students, this method of feeding is also known as mastication. It is that mode of feeding in which creatures first crush and grind its food item by the help of teeth into absorbable form and then swallow it. For example, like a snail. Students, a snail first crush and grind grasses into simplest form and then consume it. Now, moving on towards the next slide, the next mode of feeding, swallowing. Students, in this mode of feeding, animals don't bite and chew their food item. In fact, they allow the food to pass down the throat. As you see here, this is an eagle, and eagle is the best example of mode of feeding of swallowing. Students, eagles don't bite and chew its food. They just tear the flesh of its prey and swallow it. The next mode of feeding is brewing. Students, it is the mode of feeding in which insects secrete saliva over the food. Students, there is a certain kind of enzyme in their saliva that help these insects to convert the food into absorbable form, and once the food converts into absorbable form, then these insects take their nutrition. This happened in case of housefly. As you can see here in this figure, these housefly over here secrete a certain kind of substances from their mouth, and by this substance they try to convert the food item into absorbable form. Student, here is the activity that I talked about. Students, as you can see here, here are three columns. In the first column, the name of certain animals are given here, and in the second column you have to write down the kind of food they eat, and in the third column you have to write down the mode of feeding by which they take their food. Students, as you can see here, beside this activity, here is another table in which I have already filled the activity. Now you have to copy this kind of food and the mode of feeding of these animals over here in activity 2.1, and you also have to do this activity in your notebook. Students, now from this slide or from this section, we will mainly discuss and focus on the digestive system of human being. Student, digestion is the process of breakdown of large food molecules into small food molecules so that they can be absorbed by our body, because most of the food that we eat is in the insoluble form, means our body can't able to absorb the nutrient in it in this form. So it is necessary for us that the food we eat must be in absorbable form. Student, for this, the food has to undergo 5 different stages of processing that helps our body to absorb nutrient from the food. Students, the first step to obtaining nutrition is ingestion. It is a process where food is taken in through the mouth and broken down by teeth and saliva. After ingestion, the next step is digestion. As I said earlier also, that it is the process where the large food molecules must be converted into small food molecules in order to make it easier for our body to absorb the nutrient from it. After digestion, the next step is absorption. Student, it is the process where the simple soluble food passed into the blood stream of the animal through the surface of the body, and that surface of the body is the small finger-like projection that are basically present in the small intestine, about which we will talk in further slides. The next step after absorption is assimilation. Student, assimilation is the process where the absorbed substances are transported through blood vessels to the different organs of the body. Now, the last step of the digestive system is digestion. Student, digestion is the process by which the body discharges the undigested or waste material of food as feces out of the body. This is the 5 basic stages of processing of digestive systems by which our body absorbs nutrient from the food. Now moving on towards the next slide. Students, now from this slide you will understand the human digestive system more elaborately, and it will help you to understand your own digestive system. Student, as you know that there is a single opening in our body, that is our mouth, from where we take our food. Then after taking in food, our body digests it and utilize it. Human digestive system consists of alimentary canal. Now the question is, what is alimentary canal? Students, alimentary canal is the long tubular passage, as you can see here. This is the long tubular passage that we talked about. Student, this alimentary canal is the long tubular passage from mouth to anus through which body is passed and digested. Students, along with this alimentary canal, there are certain group of glands also that helps the food to convert into simple soluble form. Now the question is, what are glands? Students, gland are the organ in our body that releases, or you can say secrete, some special kind of substances that helps the food to digest. As you can see here, salivary gland, pancreas and liver. These are some glands that along with alimentary canal helps to digest the food that we eat. Students, the salivary gland that I talked about earlier slide is located in the mouth or in your buccal cavity. And the gland that we talked about in the earlier slide is liver. As you can see here, this is the liver of your body, and it is basically situated in the upper part of your abdomen on the right side. And the third gland that we talked about in earlier slide is pancreas. Student, pancreas is just located below the stomach. As you can see here, the lightish creamy structure over here is pancreas, that is basically located just below the stomach. And as I said earlier also, these glands secrete certain kind of substances that along with the alimentary canal help to digest the food that we eat. Students, as I said in earlier slides, that there is a single opening in our body from where we take in our food, and that is our mouth, or you can say buccal cavity. As you can see here, this whole structure comprises together to form your buccal cavity. Students, when you take in food from your mouth, this process is called ingestion, and your mouth or your buccal cavity contains teeth, tongue, salivary glands also, and your digestion begins from here, means your buccal cavity. When you take in food through your mouth, the function of teeth is to cut that food into smaller pieces, chew it properly, and grind it into small fine pieces. And the chewing process helps to break down the food into small fine pieces and mix that fine pieces with the saliva that basically secretes from salivary gland. And this whole process of chewing and breaking down of food into fine pieces is known as mastication. Now moving on towards the next slide. Students, as in the previous slide I said that the salivary gland is located in your mouth. So here is the location of the salivary gland in your mouth. Basically there are three types of salivary gland in your mouth, and these salivary gland secrete saliva, and that saliva helps to digest the starch that is present in your food. Now in your buccal cavity there is another important organ, that is tongue. Student, tongue is a muscular organ, means it is made up of only muscles. The function of tongue is mixes of saliva with the food during chewing, means when you chew the food, the function of the tongue is to mix the saliva to that chewed food and helps that chewed food in swallowing it. Students, another function of tongue is to taste the food, and our tongue help us to taste the food that we eat, because there are thousands of taste buds present in the tongue that helps to detect the different taste of our food that we eat. Now let's move on towards the next slide. Teeth. Students, a tooth is a hard calcified structure that is found in the jaws, and it is used to break down the food that we eat. Tooth is the singular word for teeth. Students, teeth are an important part of our digestive system, and they help in chewing and grinding of food, and this helps to swallow the food easily. Students, babies are born without teeth. They start developing teeth anytime after 6 months of age. We the human being have two sets of teeth during our whole lifespan. The first set of teeth are known as primary teeth or milk teeth. Students, milk teeth are basically 20 in number, 10 in upper jaw and 10 in lower jaw. But as we grow, we shed the milk teeth, and between the age of 6 to 8, they are falling out, and they are replaced by another set of teeth that are known as permanent teeth. Students, permanent teeth are 32 in number. They are 16 in each jaw, and there are 4 types of teeth in each jaw. As you can see here in this figure, we have 4 incisor teeth, 2 on each side of the jaw. Then we have canine, second type of teeth, and we have 2 canine teeth, 1 on each side of the jaw. Then after canine we have 4 premolar teeth, 2 on each side. As you see here, 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Then we have 6 molar teeth. They are 6 in number and 3 on each side of the jaw, as you see here. So totally we have 16 teeth in each jaw, 16 in upper jaw and 16 in lower jaw, and thus we have totally 32 teeth overall in our mouth. Now let's move on towards the next slide. Student, as I said, there are 4 types of teeth in each jaw. Number 1, incisor, then we have canine, then premolar, and lastly we have molars. Now in this slide you will learn that what are the functions of the 4 different types of teeth in our mouth. Firstly, as I said in the previous slide also, we have incisor. Student, incisors are your front teeth and they are 8 in number. This means they are 4 in each jaw, and we use incisors to take bites of food. They help in cutting the food into small bites. Students, then after incisors we have canines. Students, canines are 4 in number. This means they are 2 in each jaw. Students, you can easily recognize them as they are sharp pointy teeth, 1 on each side of the incisors. As canines being very sharp, so canine helps in tearing the food. Next, after canines we have premolars. Students, premolars are 8 in number. This means they are 4 in each jaw. Students, when you open your mouth a little wider, you can easily see premolars, as they are strong, wider teeth with ridges, 2 on either side of the canines. These premolar teeth helps in chewing and grinding the bites of food into finer particles. Students, lastly we have molars teeth. Molars are 12 in number. This means 6 in each jaw, 3 on either sides of the premolars. Students, we use molars for further grinding of the food because it helps to swallow the food more easily. Now let's move on towards the next slide. Students, as you can see the heading tooth decay. In this slide you will learn that how you can take care of the health of your teeth. Students, as I already said in the earlier slides, that teeth are important for eating food. Any food particles that left stuck to our teeth may rot and produce germs that can lead to the decaying of teeth. Thus, we must take proper care of our teeth. Students, normally bacteria are present in our mouth, but they are not harmful to us. However, if we don't clean our teeth and mouth after eating, many harmful bacteria also begin to live and grow in it. These bacteria break down sugars present from the leftover food and release acids. This acid gradually damages the teeth. This is called tooth decay. If this tooth decay is not treated in time, it causes severe toothache and in extreme cases results in tooth loss. Students, chocolates, sweets, soft drinks and other sugar products are the major culprits of tooth decay. Therefore, you should clean your teeth with a brush or datun and dental floss at least twice a day and rinse the mouth after every meal. Also, one should not put dirty fingers or any unwashed object in the mouth. Students, this tooth decay causes dental plaque to build up in our teeth. As you can see here, these are the plaques that deposited in our teeth due to teeth decay. If this plaque is allowed to build up, it can lead to problems such as holes in the teeth and gum diseases. So we should take proper care of our teeth. Students, as you can see here in this slide, these are the basic stages of tooth decay. Student, once the food is stuck in your tooth and if you don't brush your teeth properly, then harmful bacteria begin to grow and causes softening of your tooth enamel. As you can see here in the first stage, this one is the food that is stuck in the tooth. Students, enamel is the hard outer surface layer of your teeth that serves to protect against tooth decay. In fact, tooth enamel is considered the hardest mineral substance in your body, even stronger than bone. But if you don't brush your teeth properly, then tooth decay causes the softening of your tooth enamel and refers to the damage of the structure of the tooth caused by acids that are created when plaque bacteria break down sugar in your mouth. And if this loss of mineral from the enamel is left untreated, cavity or hole in the mouth can eventually occur. As you can see here, without treatment, these holes can grow larger over time and may even destroy the whole tooth. Students, these two stages are normal and they are not that much painful, but without treatment, these holes can grow larger over time and may even destroying the whole teeth. As you can see here, the cavity goes on increasing and causes to damage the dentine. Students, dentine is a layer of mineral that lies immediately underneath the enamel of the tooth. And students, this is the painful stage of tooth decay. Students, and if this cavity goes on increases, then it reaches up to the pulp layer. Students, tooth pulp is soft and consists of living blood vessels, connective tissue and large nerves. So if cavity reaches up to here, means tooth pulps, then nerves in your teeth became exposed and you may feel pain when you eat or drink something. If you feel pain near the root of your tooth, chances are you may have some form of tooth decay and should consult with a dental professional. So, taking care of your tooth is an important part of maintaining your overall health and wellness, and that includes preventing the dreaded dental cavity. Now move on towards the next slide. Students, it is the second organ of your alimentary canal. After the intake of the food and chewing and grind it, the food comes into esophagus. After the mouth, the swallowed food passes into the food pipe, that is also known as esophagus. As you can see here, this is your esophagus. Here this figure shows the movement of food in food pipe. The brownish color that you see here is the food, and this food moves on from esophagus to up to the stomach. Students, this long tubular structure, esophagus, is overall made up of muscles, and this esophagus shows a special kind of movement that is known as peristalsis. Students, peristalsis movement is same as that of the movement of a earthworm. By this movement, the food comes down from esophagus to stomach. Student, stomach is the third organ of your alimentary canal, and it is basically flattened U-shaped organ, and it is the widest part of the alimentary canal. Students, stomach receives food from the food pipe, as I said in the earlier slide, and opens into the small intestine at the other side. As you see here, this is the point from where the stomach receives the food from the esophagus, and this is the point where the stomach opens into the small intestine. Students, the stomach wall contains three types of glands. These glands secrete different types of gastric juices that helps to digest the food. The three gastric juices that these tubular glands secrete in the stomach are hydrochloric acid, enzyme pepsin, and mucus. Student, the inner lining of stomach secrete mucus, and this mucus protect the lining of the stomach from the acid. Acid kills many bacteria that enter along with the food and makes the medium in the stomach acidic, and this helps the digestive juices to act. The digestive juices breaks down the proteins into the simplest substances. Then after stomach, the partially digested food goes from stomach to the small intestine. Students, small intestine is the next organ of your alimentary canal after stomach, and the other end of the stomach opens here in your small intestine. As you see here, this, the other end of the stomach opens small intestine. Students, the small intestine is the highly coiled and is about 7.5 meter long. And after leaving stomach, food enters this part of the alimentary canal, that is small intestine, and it is the last step where digestion take place in small intestine. Students, this small intestine receives many kind of juices or secretions from liver and pancreas. Students, and liver is the largest gland in our body. As I said in the earlier slide also, that it is situated in the upper part of the abdomen and basically on the right side of your body, and it secretes bile juice that is stored in the gallbladder. Student, pancreas, the large creamy color gland located just below the stomach. As you can see here, this one is the large creamy structure, that is pancreas. Students, the pancreas secretes pancreatic juices that acts upon carbohydrate, fats, and the proteins. The food that we eat contains carbohydrate, fats, and proteins. This pancreatic juice acts on these nutrients and converts them into simple absorbable form. Then the partly digested food ultimately reaches to the lower part of the small intestine. Then here in the lower part of the small intestine, the walls of the small intestine secrete some kind of enzymes, and this enzyme converts the protein into amino acids, complex carbohydrate into glucose, and fats into fatty acid and glycerol. Now let's move on towards the next slide. Students, as I said earlier also, absorption is the process by which the products of digestion are absorbed by the blood to be supplied to the rest of the body. During absorption, the digested products are transported into the blood or lymph through the mucous membrane. And students, small intestine is the main reason for the absorption of digested food. Students, as there are many numerous finger-like projections called villi present in the inner surface of the small intestines that increases the inner surface of small intestine and helps it to absorb the digested food rapidly. As you can see here, in the inner surface of small intestine there are many finger-like projections like this, and these finger-like projections are connected with the blood vessels. As you can see here, the sky blue color and the red color, these are here represent the blood vessels that take in nutrient present in the food that is absorbed by the villi. Here, once the digested food reach here in the inner surface of the small intestine, absorb the digested food and supply it to the blood vessels. Next, the process after absorption is assimilation. Students, assimilation is the process of absorbing nutrients during digestion and distributing them to the body for the growth and repair. Students, as I said in the earlier slide also, that the absorbed substances that are basically absorbed by the villi are transported via the blood vessels to different organs of the body, where they are used to build complex substances such as protein required by the body. For example, glucose, that is the final product of carbohydrate digestion, is ultimately broke down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water to release energy. In the same way, amino acids are used for growth and repair of worn out cells, and the fatty acid and glycerol just store below the skin as energy reserves. Now let's move on towards the next slide. Student, this is the last step of digestion. Students, here after assimilation, the undigested and unabsorbed food moves into the large intestine that you see in this figure. The undigested and unabsorbed food moves into the colon part of large intestine here. This is the colon part of large intestine. So the undigested and unabsorbed food after assimilation moves into this part of large intestine. Here in the colon part of large intestine, some amount of water and salt that are present in this are absorbed from the undigested food. Then the remaining undigested food moves into the second part of your large intestine, and that is rectum here. Now here it is stored and removed from the body through the anus, the last point of your alimentary canal here. From here, the undigested, unabsorbed food removes time to time through our body. Students, the exit of the waste material from rectum is regulated, or we can say controlled, by the anal sphincter. Students, anal sphincter is a group of muscles at the end of the rectum that surrounds the anus and control the release of stool. Stool means feces, thereby maintaining its continence. And this whole process of removing the waste material from the body is known as egestion. Now moving on towards the next slide, and students, from the next slide you will learn the digestion process in grass-eating animals. So let's move on towards the next slide. Students, here we basically understand that digestion in grass-eating animals, especially in case of cow. So before moving on towards the digestion process in the case of grass-eating animals, here are some basic terms that you must know. and these basic terms will help you to understand the digestion process in grass eating animals more clearly. So the first term is rumen. Students, rumen is a sac or bag-like structure present between the food pipe and the small intestine in grass-eating animals like cows, buffalo, sheep, goat. As you see here in this figure, this is rumen. This one, this greenish part here, this is rumen. Students, animals do not chew their food at first. In fact, they just swallow their food. Students, when animals eat grasses, they don't chew their food properly. In fact, they just swallow it, and this partly digested food or partly chewed food is stored in this rumen. Now the next term related to the digestion process in animal is cud. Students, what is cud? Students, the partly digested food or partly chewed food present in the rumen of the grass-eating animals is known as cud. Now, here is another term, rumination. Students, the partly digested food that these grass-eating animals stored in their rumens returns to the mouth in these animals and they chew it again. And this process is called rumination. And that's why these animals are also known as ruminant. Students, now the question is, what are ruminants? The animals that swallow their food at first and then chew it later on are called ruminants. Students, grass-eating animals can digest cellulose. Cellulose that is basically present in the grasses, and we the human beings don't digest it. These animals have a different type of bacteria present in their stomach, and these bacteria help to these animals to digest this cellulose. Students, these grass-eating animals can digest cellulose. Now the question is, what is cellulose? Students, cellulose is the type of carbohydrate that are basically present in the grasses in very rich amount, and we the human beings and the other animals not able to digest this cellulose because we don't have that kind of bacteria that are basically present in the stomach of these grass eating animals. And due to this different kind of bacteria, this grass eating animals digest the cellulose easily. Now moving on towards the next slide. Students, now in this section we will basically understand this how some microorganism like amoeba get their nutrition. So here we will basically learn nutrition in case of amoeba. Student, amoeba is a microscopic single-celled organism and it is basically found in the pond water. And amoeba basically eats the tiny plants and the animals which floats in the water where it lives. And the mode of nutrition in amoeba is holozoic. Students, now the question is, what is holozoic mode of nutrition? Students, holozoic mode of nutrition is a method of nutrition which involves the ingestion of some complex organic substances that may be in the solid or the liquid state. In this mode of nutrition, certain parts of some plants or some animals or the organism as a whole are ingested, and the process of obtaining food by amoeba is known as phagocytosis. Now in the another slide we will understand how amoeba takes its nutrition. Students, these are the basic steps of digestion in case of amoeba or in case of other microorganisms, and by this process amoeba gets its nutrition from its food, and we will understand the steps involved in the nutrition of amoeba by the help of the diagram, and it will help you to understand the digestion in case of amoeba more easily. So the first step in case of nutrition of amoeba is ingestion. Students, amoeba takes in its food through this process, means ingestion process. Initially, it pushes out its pseudopodia that it can encircle the food. Students, now the question is, what are pseudopodia? Students, pseudopodia are the false feet-like structure or finger-like projection that basically amoeba forms to encircle the food. As you see here, amoeba forms the finger-like or the false feet-like structure to engulf the food, and after this forming a bag-like structure called food vacuole, and this whole process is known as phagocytosis. Students, I hope you got it, that what is phagocytosis? Phagocytosis is the whole process of forming false feet-like structure or false finger-like projection to engulf the food, and after engulfing, forming a bag-like structure that is called food vacuole. That is your phagocytosis. Now, after ingestion, as you see here, this is the food vacuole, and here many kind of digestive enzymes are present. These enzymes break down the large insoluble food stuff, consequently yielding simple soluble molecules. These enzymes help to convert or break down the large insoluble foodstuffs into simple soluble form. Now, after the digestion, the next step is absorption. Student, it is the process of absorption of the digested food material into the cytoplasm, leaving behind the undigested food material. Now, students, what is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is a jelly fluid-like structure that is present in a cell, and that you can also see here in this structure. These pinkish color that you see overall in the cell is cytoplasm. Now, after absorption, the next step in case of nutrition in amoeba is assimilation. Student, this is the utilization process. During this process, the absorbed food is utilized for energy production, growth, repair, as well as for multiplication. The next and the last step in case of nutrition in amoeba is egestion. Students, finally, the cell membrane gets ruptured so that the undigested food material is thrown out of the body. As you see here, the cell membrane gets ruptured so that the undigested food material is thrown out of the body, and that's how the amoeba gets nutrition from the food that it takes. Student, this is your chapter is all about. Now I will be come back soon with a new chapter. Till then, stay home, stay safe.